Hello. Today I'd like to speak to you about some supernatural experiences that I have had personally. I want to talk about these things because I want people to realize that this wasn't just in ancient times, that this can still happen today. And I would like to bear witness to some of the things that I've seen personally. In the late 70s, I had been reading the New Testament, and I declared before witnesses that I would like to receive Jesus as my Savior. Nothing happened right then, except for, obviously that people are excited that I was doing that, but I expected something to happen right away, and it didn't. And it wasn't until a few months later, when I was alone, and I was sitting in my room praying, and the funny thing is that it was like the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 a.m. I was listening to a rock station, and all of a sudden Amazing Grace starts playing on the radio. They don't play Amazing Grace on the radio, so this is not on a rock station, so this was really strange. And I suddenly felt like a presence or an energy, and realized that there was an aura around my body, around my arms. And when I looked into the mirror, I saw that it was all around me. And I realized at that time I was filled with abounding love and felt really wonderful. So there was this magical glow, and it lasted for a while before it finally went away. This was only the beginning of a long journey of mine in my faith and in growing. I had just been reborn in the Holy Spirit and in Jesus. So over the years that followed this fantastic occurrence, this was the first one that I had like that, I had developed a yearning to become more in touch with God. I was hoping that I could hear him speak to me, that not only would I pray, but that I could also hear him. And one day when I was sitting very distressed and crying, sitting at the dining room table, I said, "Lord, I need help. How I wish I could hear you." And soon it began to rain, and then to thunder. And I became aware that something was being said to me. Although God doesn't always communicate that way, sometimes he just puts thoughts in your head. But in this case, the thunder, suddenly I could understand nature, the language of nature, that we are not normally able to decipher. And I listened to the whole message before I dared to budge from my seat for a pen and paper, because I didn't want to interrupt those moments. And then what I heard was, "Hearken the thunder, for it is my voice speaking to you. I am always with you. My light shines upon you in your darkness and silence. Give me your hand that I may guide you. Hearken the thunder, for it is my voice. Seek me in silence, for it is there that I can be found." Now, I don't talk or even think that way, so I knew that this was God talking, and I was comforted by these words of wisdom, profoundly moved by this direct contact, and I found some new strength from that encouragement. Ever since then, I have been keener to God's voice and to what He's trying to tell me, even when it's just general ideas that I never had before. All of a sudden, during prayer, I have these fantastic ideas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how come I never thought of that? So I will sit and I pray, and then I sit quietly, and I give God a chance to reply or to somehow give me a solution to what I am trying to deal with. Now, faith is essential before you can see evidence of God's existence. For one thing, if you don't have it, people that don't have it, they will just dismiss these occurrences as a vivid imagination or, something other than reality. But it is actually real, and sometimes it can involve some manifestation of God personally, and there are examples of this throughout the Bible, and they are not limited to just what you read in the Bible. It's very real today as well. So I have another example that when I was hospitalized in 1985, this is the most amazing one. I had a dangerous allergic reaction to a medication, and I was actually not even able to go to the phone to call for help or anything. My husband came home and found me laying there, and he brought me to the hospital. And I wondered, why did this dreadful happen to me? People always think, this is God is doing this to me, but it's really a matter of that we are very susceptible as humans to all kinds of things, which I'll get into some other time. But I wondered if this was some kind of punishment, and that's what people always think. And why? So one sleepless night was when I was in the hospital. I had been there for 5 days. When I first was admitted, I looked like I had leprosy. I've never seen people in the emergency ward move so fast. It was like a Chinese fire drill around me. They must have poked me with everything possible, all kinds of shots and everything. So I finally realized that night, it dawned on me that I had broken a promise to God, and that what happened to me physically was an indirect result of that. I had, previous to this, upon approaching the age of 30, I had promised God I'd no longer interfere with getting pregnant, and that I would leave it up to Him from here on. I felt it was long overdue to give Him control over that, and it wasn't long before I was expecting. I soon suffered a miscarriage, and another miscarriage, and a third miscarriage within the next handful of months after that. So you can imagine I was pretty distraught. So I decided I wasn't going to go through that again. That was just too traumatic, and I wasn't ready for, I thought, I don't want to get pregnant again right away, because I don't want that to happen again. It already happened 3 times within like a half year. So trying out a new product only one time promptly resulted in a bladder infection for me, and urinary tract infection, whatever you want to call it, and for which my doctor prescribed Bactrim. Now, little did I know that I would be severely allergic to sulfa. So I know, I realized in the hospital that fifth night of being there, I now realized that my broken promise to God had indirectly caused my illness, and I knew that I had to resubmit control to God that I had promised him, and I begged him for forgiveness. And in order to not bother my roommate, whom I hadn't communicated with at all, she pretty much kept to herself and had her curtain drawn around her all the time, I prayed in the bathroom. I had been walking around in the hallway, and I knew what time it was. I had written stuff down, so this wasn't a dream. And when I got back in my room, I went first in the bathroom. I didn't want to disturb her, and prayed in the bathroom for forgiveness and to give him control back. And suddenly I realized that all the hives on my skin were gone. They had subsided over the few days, and even the nurse told me that when I thought that they were cured, they would come back now and then, that some of it stays in your blood and stuff. But after that event, I never saw one again. I should say, did not ever see one again. So I got into my bed, and as I approached my hospital bed, I felt an energy in the room that scared me at first. And I had been wishing that I could see, some manifestation of God, and praying over it. And now that I was right with God again, I got into my bed and I was saying, I was really frightened, but I told God, okay, I'm going to try to not be afraid. I don't know what's happening right now, but it was frightening. So after I said, I didn't know, I could have been dying. I didn't know. So I started praying and started seeing fibers of energy in the room, colorful, twinkling fibers of energy that came towards me like a tunnel opening on my end. And out of this tunnel came a giant hand. I would say it was a closed hand, and it was probably about this big as a fist, like this. And it hovered there above me for a long time. I didn't know what to do. After a while, even though I was afraid that I might be giving up my spirit at this time, I raised my hands up like this towards it. And from it came down a flame that, as it came down, I went like this to receive it. It landed in my hands, and after a few minutes, I cupped my hand like this, and I could see the flames licking out in between my fingers. This flame was somewhat transparent. It was only red. I don't recall seeing any yellow, and there was definitely no blue. And unlike a physical flame here on Earth, it didn't burn. It felt warm and wonderful. And I just sat there like I was meditating and taking it all in like this for a while. In my estimation, maybe 15-20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, It just felt wonderful. It was the most wonderful, loving feeling you've ever experienced. And then all of a sudden, it disappeared that quick, in an instant. And then there was a flash of lightning outside. There wasn't any rain or anything going on previous to that, just one flash of lightning, and it was gone. And a moment later, the nurse barged into the room. And I took note of the time. It was around 4 a.m., 4:17 a.m. on November 22nd of 1985. I jotted down my account of what I had just witnessed and experienced, and I realized that I'd now reconciled with God. And it's funny because I was afraid to tell anybody about it. My roommate, first of all, I didn't know her at all. She would think I'm crazy. And the nurses, how would I get these people to believe me? They didn't really know me that well at all. And, they don't know me like my friends know me and my family know me to be a level-headed person. And I didn't even tell them. Probably for years. I just kept it to myself because I was afraid how people would react. And I eventually began telling people that were closest to me, and I'm now disclosing it to the world in this message where everyone can hear this. And when I started sharing this story with other people, this experience, not a story, it's an actual experience that happened. Oh, by the way, I wasn't on any kind of medications or anything at that point. I was only on medications that, like Benadryl type of medications that bring down swelling and fight allergic reactions. And since I've been telling people, since I've been revealing this to people, I've heard a lot of other instances with other people, supernatural experiences that they have had that they would have never told me about otherwise. And it makes me wonder how many more people have actually witnessed supernatural manifestations, and they're afraid to talk about it, unless somebody brings it up like I have. And then all of a sudden I'm finding that most people have seen something, which is surprising because they don't talk about it. But it's there and it's real. I think that I wanted to share this with everyone, and I'm hoping that they will that it will help them to come to Christ. I was hiding my light for so many years, and we shouldn't keep that to ourselves. My light is finally emerging, and I'm going to let it shine. It's for the sake of others, to be a witness to them of the reality of it. So God bless, and my book, An Understanding Beyond, is on Amazon. Right now it's just in, a form where you could just read it on a gadget, either a computer or phone. It's going to be this way. It's available to everyone, and I hope it does the world some good. God bless, and hope to do more of these messages soon. Thanks.